Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the One-on-One Podcast. My name is Josh. Oh, God, I'm sitting in the wrong spot. Welcome to another episode. I am joined, as always, by Ryan Esteban, who's sitting in the studio with me, as well as Kathy Baker, who is, what are you, Kathy, like 2,000 miles away? 1,500?
About 2,000 miles.
2,000 miles, yeah. We need to come out there. I feel like we need to do take the podcast on the road and record.
I love it.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Oh, that would be great.
East Coast.
Yeah, I think that would be a
East
lot of
Coast.
fun. I'm going to pitch that.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about this episode. We touch on our big summit event, throughout other episodes. It's obviously a huge thing for our company. It's a huge thing for mine and Ryan's team. It sometimes feels like we are an events team, not just a marketing team, because we put so much work into this event. But we're excited, and we know our network who has been before is excited. Those aren't the ones that we want listening to this episode unless they just want, to just feel good about some events past. The ones that we want listening and watching to this are the ones that maybe haven't been before, or maybe they're only been with Realty ONE Group for less than a year, so they didn't go to last year's summit. And we have a very specific guest who's been on before that is going to explain to us the ROI that they're going to get from this event from an education and coaching standpoint, as well as, the fun, the camaraderie, the culture, everything that this brand makes up. Before I introduce our guest, I want to ask Ryan and Kathy a question. And I know Ryan has lived outside of the country, so that's one thing. Kathy, I don't know so much, but I want to know Ryan and Kathy, and then I'll ask our guest, where's your favorite vacation spot or place that you've been in your life that you either loved or have a great memory or fond memory of? Maybe it doesn't have to be a vacation, because I know, Ryan, you lived in Europe, and so yeah, did I ask you guys a question? Was there a question mark at the end of that?
You ended it like halfway through.
I'm sorry. So where's the best spot that you can remember most in your life? Favorite spot? And it could be where you are right now.
I'll go first.
Okay.
I love where I live now.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to say outside of the country, Costa Rica.
Ooh.
And I know we have Sergio and Jennifer there,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not saying it because of them, even though I love them. But for me, in addition to it being spectacular, it just felt so safe.
Interesting.
It felt so comfortable. It was because I've been to places that I felt like, I need to be really aware. And there felt the people were warm and generous. So Costa Rica.
I like that. I mean, when we did that episode with them, I was researching real estate down there, and I was like, this is pretty enticing. What about you, Ryan?
In the same vein of Kathy, safe. People are nice. I'm sure the food in Costa Rica is good. But I will choose Japan.
Yeah, I knew you were
I
going to say that.
I mean, that was the first place that I had moved to when we first moved overseas, because my dad was in the Navy. So like that, I did a lot of like my growing up, my childhood years in Japan. So finally got to go back there for our honeymoon last year, me and my wife. And that was
awesome.
That was just as fun. And yeah, it's the same thing. The people are super nice. Like you feel super safe.
Clean.
And you just can't go wrong with the food, man.
Yeah, I know. Japan's my bucket list. Mine is two. They're polar opposites. It's either Hong Kong or I'm going to say our guest's name because he knows how much I love this place, or it's Ojai, California. I love Ojai. I want to move to Ojai. Every time I go there, I'm obsessed with that place. So that's actually probably my answer. And now I'll introduce our guest, who's very familiar with Ojai. It is Mark Pessin, our Chief Learning Officer.
Thanks, guys.
Mark, before we get into Summit, where is your favorite spot that you've been to or you have the most fondest memories of?
So I was thinking about this while you guys were talking about it, and my instinct was to say Maui because that's where we honeymooned, and it's a beautiful place. But honestly, if I'm being totally truthful, we used to, when I lived out of California, we would bring my kids to Carlsbad, California every year when they were little to go to Legoland.
Yeah.
And every year we would come to Carlsbad and we would say to ourselves, can you imagine what it would be like to live here? Like, this place is so beautiful. It's just like, it's like utopia. Like, it'd be so amazing to live here. And about 10 years ago, I had the good fortune of moving to Carlsbad, and I've been here ever since. And so, like, I would say home.
What a
like,
great
where we
answer.
are right now is like, we just love this place. And every time I leave and I come back, the thought always like just naturally comes into my head that I love where I live. So like at this point, I don't think you could drag me out of this place. Like we just love it here.
I'm glad I asked this question. What a good
Yeah,
answer.
I have to tell you a funny story. You were talking about coming to the East Coast. Mark came to Atlanta a couple of years ago, and we were together. And I'll never forget the humidity was oppressive.
Oh my God.
And it was thunderstorms.
It was like, honestly, it was like insulting how high
it was terrible. And Mark walked outside and went, "Ooh,
Yeah.
this is impressive." And I'll never forget that because we were both just shimmering. We were shining.
It was like you walk outside and it was like somebody like threw a bucket of water.
Yeah.
Like,
The thing that we were just talking about this before we got on camera. Like we really do take for granted living in Southern California. I mean, we pay for it.
Yes.
But we definitely take it for granted. And just to tell a quick story as well, my brother he lived in Memphis for 10 years, worked for the Grizzlies. And I went out to visit him a couple times. And in 1 week, I experienced snow, hail, rain. I got to hear the tornado alarms that sounded through the entire city. And I was like, this is in 1 week. They have to deal with this. It's like my wardrobe doesn't change for 6 months in California. And so, yes, as expensive as it is out here.
We're very blessed in Southern California for so many reasons. We also thankfully have not had any big earthquakes in a while, like knock on wood. So, but in general, it's heaven on earth.
Yeah,
so.
it really, really is.
Yes, we pay for it.
Yes, we do.
Good Lord.
So let's talk Summit. And we still have a couple, I don't want to say unanswered questions about the event, but we still have some surprises. Let's say that. How about that? We have some surprises for our attendees. But I want to specifically talk about, because Kathy, you and I touch on it a lot. No, it's not a cheap ticket. I'll be the first to say it. It's not. It costs some money to go to this event. However, there's an ROI that you're going to get if you take this seriously, if you get the most out of what you're trying to do at this event. And I know, Kathy, you always say if you get just one referral, just one, you paid for your ticket. And so I want to kind of touch on that, Mark, and then I also want to touch on what else are they gaining from purchasing a ticket to Summit.
Yeah, I mean, Kathy's point is exactly right. And I'm glad you mentioned it, because if you think about it in the grand scheme of things, what do you make from the sale of one home? Mm-hmm. What do you earn? And what is the ROI for the money that you would spend on a ticket and airfare and hotel and meals? Like, I think you're still coming out ahead just from one sale.
Yep.
And if you come to Summit and you do what we encourage you to do, and what we recommend you do, is come and actually network with Realty ONE Group professionals from all over, not only over the country, but all over the world. I mean, we're now in 24 countries. Yep. And by the time this airs, maybe we'll be in 25 or 26. I don't know. But at the rate we're growing. But I just think it's important for people to recognize that come to Summit and we'll talk about all the reasons to come to Summit, but this is a huge revenue opportunity for you as a business owner to be able to come out and network with the One family. I mean, I can't think of a better opportunity for you guys to get FaceTime with people all over the country that are in the same network, that are of the same black and gold, family. And I think that that's the reason to come. And so when you say it's an expensive ticket, I think in the grand scheme of things, it's relatively inexpensive for what it will do for your business.
I love that. I mean, we've talked to so many people in the network, and we've had so many people on this podcast that they've told us this story. They've done this. They've done this every single year. And so I just encourage people who are maybe on the fence, or maybe they were like, no, I don't need this for my business. I mean, Ryan and I are not real estate agents, so we kind of have this unique view of watching everything from our own perspective, and what we get to witness is really cool. I mean, you'll see, especially in Miami, because it's an international hub. So you're going to see someone from one of your offices in San Diego, Mark, talking to an agent from one of our offices in Italy. And
they better be, because I've been beating them over the head that they need to go to Summit and get business. And every office I go into, I have the same conversation. Like, you need to go to Summit with a stack of business cards, get a QR code on the back of your T-shirt. I don't care, but you need to connect with as many people as you possibly can.
Yep. And that's what I was thinking of, Kathy. Is we've had Adrian on before, and he was talking about just the how we are and I know, Kathy, I love asking you about these things because you've worked for other previous brands in the industry, but we're a community. I hate to drink the Kool-Aid, but we're a family. We rely on each other. And that doesn't hold more true than at Summit, when you're all collectively together in the same colors and the same branding after the same goal. And I kind of look at it as like pregame, you hear your favorite song on the radio and it just pumps you up, and then you go out onto the field and you just kick ass. And it's like, that's Summit times a million. It's just a big shot of adrenaline.
Yeah, I'm gonna say a couple of things. Number one, we're in tax season right now, so you're either in tax season or tax extension. And as a business owner, Mark and I will share with you, you need all the write-offs you can get. So first things first, from a business perspective, it's a great opportunity to network. It's also a tax deduction. Work with your CPA. So when you think about it think about it as an investment. You're investing in your business rather than that it's a cost. The other thing is, and Mark, I'd love your opinion about this. I think you need to be really intentional. I think you need to be really specific. And an example, I was in Nashville a couple of months ago, and they knew, the group at Music City, that group of professionals knew exactly where people were locating from to Nashville. And I'm sure, Mark, you do in San Diego. I do in Raleigh. And I would go to your broker and target those areas and find those people. Go into, find out where we have offices in those cities that are moving in or cities that are moving out, and make a really direct connection for those personal referrals. So we're talking about a rifle, not necessarily a shotgun, so that you go into it with great intention. That's how you guarantee that you get a transaction. Hey, Mark, what's your average transaction in San Diego?
About 850.
Wow. So you're looking at what commission? 15 average?
20 grand.
20. So just think about that. Now, Raleigh, we're the poor people here. We're over here sweltering.
I was going to say, damn it, Mark, this is not a great place to live, but continue. Go ahead, Kathy.
So think about it, and it's all relative, right? So if Raleigh is 8,500 and cost of living is less, and San Diego is 20 grand, that's going to more than pay. That's why we're talking about an ROI. When you talk about what's the ROI on attending this kind of event, man, go with intention. Go with intention that you're going to get one deal.
And I'm glad that you mentioned that, Kathy, because that's the conversation I've been having with agents quite a bit, is figure out where your feeder markets are and go connect with Realty ONE Group professionals all over the country. I mean, like, I know that we're in Southern California. I know that we have people that are moving out of state that are going to Nevada and Arizona and Texas and Tennessee and Florida. So I tell my agents all the time, go on to realtyoneGroup.com, find agents in those markets and introduce yourself and start to set up referral opportunities, because if you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 referrals a year, that adds up significantly. And it's not hard work to make a phone call, to call up an agent and say, hey, I have a referral for you. I have a client that's moving to your market. I'd like to set up a referral with you. And so it's honestly, it's crazy to me that people don't do it, but it's one of the biggest benefits of us being such a large network, is that we have this opportunity for everyone to take advantage of it. And Summit is, to me, like the ultimate opportunity to create these relationships for all of our agents.
Yeah, I look at Summit as not to use a sports reference, but it's like going to a sports bar of your favorite team. Right? Like, it's like, exactly. Mark, you're going to a Dodgers bar. You walk in and you're like-minded with every person in that bar. Like, you're
unless there's Padres fans.
Sure, exactly.
For conversation.
I knew that was coming.
But it's like you walk into Summit and there's going to be 2,500 people who you immediately have something in common with. Like, there's your conversation starter, you know?
And I mean, honestly, if I were going to Summit as an agent, and not in my current capacity, but as an agent, I would wear a t-shirt, or I would wear like something that said, I'm from San Diego, California.
Totally.
Would love to send you a referral.
Yep.
I mean, like, just something simple like that. I mean, like, it's so simple.
I got to tell you, the brilliant smart is the QR code in the back of your t-shirt.
Yep.
Which we've seen.
We've seen it. Oh, we've definitely seen it.
Summit.
That is absolutely brilliant. The other thing that, Mark, I want to touch on, and we can give away a little bit of the magic here. But this is going to be actionable training, and Josh and Ryan and I talk about this a lot this year, as far as what can we do that we can walk away with.
Yeah.
And what I believe and what I'm excited about, Mark, that we're creating is an opportunity for people to attend not only the referrals, that's one lane of income. But the other is actionable training that you can attend a session and walk away and put that into practice. It's scalable. It's in your market. By the way, I also love the term theater market. I wrote that down. So good call there. But let's talk a little bit about what the format looks like, how that's a little bit different, how the focus has changed around that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to recognize that our goal, I mean, we have so many goals at Summit, but one of the biggest goals is to educate and develop our real estate professionals and our broker owners so that you can go home and positively implement these strategies and grow your business as a result. And so what we are doing and what we've put together is we've got tracks for brokers, we've got tracks for agents, we've got certifications, we've got all kinds of programs, to Kathy's point, that you can learn at Summit and then go home and immediately apply it to your business to help you have a better 2026. And I think it's important that we recognize that, because this event is in November of 2025, which means we're prepping you to hit the ground running in 2026.
Yep.
And so the things that we're going to do, the things that we're going to teach you at this event, and I almost wish we could do it sooner because we're so excited about all the things we're going to provide, but we're going to help you guys really, whether you're a broker owner or whether you're a real estate professional with the Realty ONE Group, you need to be at these sessions because this is what's going to set you up for success. Because to Kathy's point is perfect, which is, yes, the referral opportunities are great, but what you can generate on your own is much greater. And so we want to teach you how to go out and get more business for yourself in 2026. And 2026 is going to be a great year in real estate. 25 is going to be a good year, but 26 is going to be even better.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to really set you up for success, but you got to be there. You got to be in these classes. You got to be at these certifications because you don't want to miss a minute of it in order for you guys to be really upskilled for the year ahead. Like, I think that's the ideal opportunity for you to do it.
I think you bring up such a good point, Mark, of we've never done a summit this late in the year. And we've never done one in Miami, but I never thought about it that way. It's actually very, very, very incentivizing for real estate agents.
It's business planning season.
That's our audience is. Yeah, no, I'd never thought about that. On a side note, I just thought about this too. The One Shop will probably have lots of great holiday gifts too, because we'll right before the holiday season. So stay tuned for that as well. Mark, I want to ask you before I get into, because I want to pull Ryan into this too, because we obviously want to talk about the entertainment and fun and our first time ever hosting in Miami. But I want to ask you, what have you? Let's take all of our keynotes, all of that stuff off the table. What would you say? I know you guys host a lot of like really cool breakout sessions, but what would you say is one, piece of advice or something that you saw someone maybe in one of your offices or an attendee that you know from years past, you saw them take away and it changed their business?
I mean, there's several, but I can pinpoint a few of them. There were some sessions that we did last year, and we've done them previously, but particularly last year we did some on AI and how you can use that to develop your business, video marketing. I mean, even like navigating the legal landscape. I mean, there's so many things that we do that we really drill down into to help the agents learn how to become better and more skilled professionals. And so I would say, I mean, like, even just from my own agents, just hearing from them come back and say, like, I actually took what I learned in that class, did some of those things, and no one's going to do 100% of it. Yeah. But they're going to take little tidbits away from each one. And so the more of these that you can sit in, and the way we're mapping this out is so you can attend as many as possible.
Yeah, I think that's another good point to hit home is, I know in years past it was I had to choose between A or B because we only had so many sessions, but this is going to be a very, very education-focused event with lots of fun. I want to throw that in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, education is fun.
It is. Come on. It's true. So, sorry, I didn't mean it to be one or the other. You're right.
I mean, you're talking to two coaches here. So
yeah. And I think a key word in that, to echo what Mark is saying, is we are very intentional about making sure that we have people that are relatable.
Yeah.
And that it's not it's not something that people go, well, God, that sounds great, but I can't do that in my market. It's something that's scalable. It's something that's relatable that people can go back and apply. So Mark,
Yeah.
thank you for making that point, because that's top of mind for us as we're looking at what do these courses need to look like.
Right.
And it's we've talked about before, Josh, having those multiple lanes of revenue. So
Yep.
we're going to have commercial courses and luxury experts,
Yep.
and everything from, like we talked with Savag about earlier, in a session about how do we take technology and apply it and not be so fearful. And I think the best way to do that is to have that one-on-one time, whether it's after the session or in the session or at the bar or in the marketplace, that you can talk to people and it make it work for you in your market, in your business.
I would like to just make one point here, which I think is very important for your viewers to really gather from this conversation, is we do a ton of online training now. I mean, like for the past, I don't know, Kathy, like 5 years now,
Yeah.
5 or 6
we've
years.
lived on Zoom. And so we do a ton of training on Zoom, and it is effective. And I don't want to downplay that, because I think that there are so many positives to what we're able to do, but there is no substitute for in-person learning.
Agreed.
Like, you just retain so much more information. And so I think that the event is going to be incredible. There are going to be so many things for them to benefit and take away from this, but that in-person learning opportunity for these breakout sessions, these educational sessions, are going to really help them. I feel like they're just going to glean so much more from that than sitting and watching a webinar. And I don't want to downplay our webinars, because we do them all year round and they are effective, but I just feel like they're going to glean so much more by being there in person with people that are at the same motivation level, the people that are dedicated to their business. And I think that you're going to be able to really just take away so much more by being there in person.
I 1000% agree. The easiest comparison I can make in my own life is it's the difference between listening to an audiobook and reading a book. I love both. Ryan knows I listen to more audiobooks than anybody, but I don't digest it the same as when I'm flipping pages and it's in my hands. And so I love that you said that, Mark. I think in this post-COVID world, we've gotten very comfortable sitting behind our computer screens, and it's very efficient, and we've learned to work from home and do all of these great things. But there is something about sitting in a room next to your peers, digesting something. It's just a whole completely different experience. So
and it's psychological, but it also is less distractions. I mean, like, if you think about it, when people are on Zoom with us, I mean, like, anyone that's listening or watching right now, how many screens do you have open right now?
Totally.
Like, how many tabs do you have open? Like, how many devices are in your face right now?
Yeah.
And, what's going on around you? So,
I would love someone to email us and tell me that you listened to this podcast completely through without pausing it, because I'll bet you most people didn't. All right. Before we go, I want to touch on, because Summit's fun. It's fun. It's from Ryan and I and our team. We work our asses off for 2 weeks straight while we're at that event, but we also it's some of the most fun we have. And so I really want to touch on, everyone's heard by now, Tony Robbins is our keynote speaker, which is amazing. That's one of the biggest names in the world. He's going to bring down the house. Anyone who goes to that, I would argue you're going to spend as much on a ticket to go see Tony Robbins on his own than you would just to go to Summit. Mark, we've talked about this.
Yes.
Beyond that, it's our 20th anniversary, which is huge. We are going to be having a welcome party. There's going to be networking events. The shop is going to be there. Kuba has already called Dustin and I about different products that he wants at the shop, and I can't say anything right now, but there's going to be some cool stuff. We're going to have activations. There's going to be all of our countries are going to be represented there. Mark, your top producer panel, the women's luncheon, the one walk. What else am I missing?
It's the first time out of Vegas.
First time out of Vegas. That's a huge one. I mean, we all did,
like, Miami. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I mean, we all got to do our leadership event, Base Camp, in Miami a couple years ago, which was a blast. That was my first time in Miami. And that's just a touch of what Summit is like. And so I can only imagine, I'm envisioning, I know Miami's a big city, but I'm literally envisioning just landing at the airport and just seeing black and gold, because that's just, I know Kuba's going balls to the wall for this event.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone that I've talked to that's gone to our Summit events, and I've gone to Summit events now for a long time.
Yeah. Same.
Like I've been with this company a long time as an agent and as in different leadership roles. And I've been to many summit events, and every year they get better and they get better and they get better. I mean, like I remember when they were little tiny events to now they have these mega like Super Bowl style events. And what I love about the after effects of Summit is that everyone comes back on this. I mean, for lack of a better term, they come back high.
Yeah, totally.
Like they're just on this high.
Yep.
And there's this wave of energy that they get from being at this event and being around everyone else that's these like-minded professionals. And you come back super energized, super motivated. And it's not just from the speakers, it's just from the whole experience. You just come back with this enthusiasm that carries you through into the new year. Like in this, that's why I love it, the fact that it's in November.
I agree.
Because it's going to energize these people to hit the ground running in January.
Yep.
And I feel like it's going to be a giant kick in the ass for our whole network.
Yep.
And that's why I think like, we keep saying you got to be there. Like if you want to hit the ground running on January 1st of 2026, I cannot think of a better way to do it. That energy that you feel after this event it's electric.
I completely agree, Mark. I'm excited to, I don't want to sound ignorant to think that I never thought of it that way, but to be honest, I'd never thought of it that way. And now like my campaigns to promote this event are like, I really love that because it's, Kathy, you and we will do podcasts in September talking about getting ready for the new year. And we are now setting our entire network up with our biggest event of the year to basically get them prepared for the new year, which we all know that 2026 is going to be a great year for this industry.
Absolutely.
And what Mark and I know is in coaching, you can't have a good Q1 without a good Q4.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you've got to set it up to you can't start January 1, so there's no better time than Summit to kick that off.
It's creeping me out a little bit that we're already using 2026. Like that's
so weird.
It's a little too far out there.
We're a very forward thinking.
Yeah, we definitely are. But before I let you go, Mark, I just want to thank you. I want if you could maybe give one more, give me one more sentence of actually no, tell me your favorite Summit experience. How about that? I have some good ones with you.
Do you want the PG version or the non-PG version?
I want the PG version, but tell me the R version after we stop recording.
I'll give you the other one afterwards. I think my favorite Summit experience, honestly, was, I mean, and you guys know this about me, I'm a huge Eric Thomas fan. Mm-hmm. And so getting Eric Thomas to Summit was I was like a little girl. I was so excited. Like I was fanning out in a big way.
Yeah.
So having him at that event was amazing. I will say this, like going forward, like as much as I love ET, Tony Robbins, and I know that people say this about him, he literally changed my life. So I went to a Tony Robbins event in 2014, right before I stepped into a management role with Realty ONE Group.
Oh, wow.
And it absolutely changed the trajectory of my entire life because I learned things about myself and about life in general at that event. And I learned how to do things that I didn't know how to do or I wasn't ready to do. And so I think it just opened so many doors. And so I'm super excited for our network to be able to experience Tony Robbins, even though it's going to be a shortened version of what you get in a 4-day event with Tony Robbins. I still think it's super powerful. I saw him at the NAREP event a couple of months ago.
Yep.
And I took my son with me. My son was like on cloud 9 after 3 hours with Tony Robbins.
That's really cool.
And so I just think that's going to be super powerful for our network. I can't thank Kuba enough for getting him to this event because I think it's going to be life-changing for a lot of our network.
I completely agree. Kathy, do you have any great Summit stories that don't involve you, me, and Ryan drinking bourbon in the wee hours of night?
Well, I just think if people, I want to beg people to invest in themselves. And I want them to think about this as an investment because, again, to walk away, as Mark said, with a life-changing event and think about it as investing in your career. No better time than in November. Yep. No better investment than what you can put in yourself.
Yep, I love that.
So just really strongly encourage people and go ahead and do it now before the rooms sell out.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, Kathy.
We've kind of had people that just kind of wait, and this is not the year to do that.
Yep, I completely agree. If Tony Robbins' name is this event's going to sell out. It's going to.
Yeah.
So I would book your tickets now, book your hotels now. We are not, this is going to be a little bit different in years past, but we will have room blocks at different hotels throughout the city. I would encourage you to book them now. That city has more than one event in a weekend, so their hotels book up very quickly. So please join us November 2nd to the 5th in Miami, Florida. Tony Robbins will be our keynote, as well as many other keynotes that we will be announcing shortly. Like Mark and Kathy said, there's going to be so much education and coaching, your career won't even be able to handle it. What else am I missing?
I think you nailed it.
If you come,
You got
I
it.
promise, Mark, Kathy, Ryan, and I will have some bourbon with you if you drink bourbon. I think that's
or
it.
whatever
Your poison is. Yeah,
I
you know.
think we'll take whatever.
We'll take whatever. Yeah. So yeah, please join us. We're really excited for this one. It's our 20th anniversary. The four of us have been with this company for a very long time, so we're ready to celebrate. And I think this one's going to be one for the record books. I really, really do. I mean, even from the behind the scenes, from our perspective, it's some really, really cool stuff happening. So yeah, we will see you guys November 2nd to the 5th in Miami, Florida. And then one last note of housekeeping. So this is actually our final episode of the season, Ryan. This is season 3.
3. We did it.
We did it. Kathy,
survived.
we did it. So thank you everybody for watching, for listening, for downloading, for making me semi-famous on YouTube. My mom screenshots everything we post on Instagram and sends it to me. So I want to thank everybody for supporting this podcast. I really, really appreciate it. We are so excited for the next season. Season 4 is going to have some really cool stuff. It will be in the midst of Summit. So we will be doing this podcast on, at least, Kathy, if we don't come to you, I promise we are at least bringing the podcast to Florida. So we're taking it on the road. But yes, thank you for everyone for listening to the last 3 seasons. It's only going to get better. We're bringing on more guests. We're bringing people from outside of the network. It's all good things, right, Ryan? Is there anything else that I'm missing?
No, I think
that's
I'm
it.
happy. We did it, guys.
Yeah, we
made
did
3
it.
seasons.
3 seasons. So thank
Did
you once again. I hope we make it to 8, 9, 10 seasons like Breaking Bad.
No, knowing Kuba, we got to make it to like 10, 11.
Yeah, that's true.
11s.
11.
Come on.
11.
Great
All
job,
right.
you guys. Congratulations.
Thank you,
Thank
Mark.
you.
We
Thank
appreciate
you,
it.
Mark.
And yeah, we'll see you guys in season 4. Thanks again. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the One-on-One podcast, powered by Realty ONE Group. For more information, questions, or concerns, please reach out to coaching@realtyonegroup.com.